Hi, everybody. My name is Michael Follett, and I am, I guess, a former child, probably the main thing that qualifies me to speak with you today. I grew up in a nursery school that my mum ran in our house for 21 years, and one of my first jobs was driving a double-decker play bus around North Yorkshire, and I first came across play work, and I loved it. I went on to be a teacher, local authority advisor, and I've been running OPAL, Outdoor Play and Learning, since 2011. And we've been helping primary schools make play fantastic for as many children as possible. And our goal is that every child in every primary school should just have a wonderful, wonderful playtime every single day. So the reason that we're putting on this session for you as parents is we wanted to share some of the joy that we get in providing fantastic play for children, to inspire you, to give you some ideas. We were all children, so deep down we all know how to play, but sometimes things get in the way of that, or we think we're short of ideas. So this session is really to inspire you to do that. I'm going to start my presentation, which I really hope works. So let's go to that. And to the new slideshow. Yay, good. So tonight is all about sharing our knowledge with you. It is a free session, but we'd really like you, if you enjoy it, if you can possibly donate towards Project Play. Now, I came across Project Play on a windy train platform in Normandy a few years ago. I had gone to rescue my daughter, who had forgotten her passport and was stuck in northern France. She'd been working with a women's project in the refugee camps, and she'd come across this group of women who saw that the children there were really suffering. They were suffering from trauma, they were suffering from poverty, being displaced, and just not being able to be children. So this group of a couple of young women just wanted to do something about it and started providing play to children. When I met them, she was on crutches. She'd fallen over and torn the ligaments in her knee, fallen over in the mud at one of the camps. And she was still going and doing the play with the children because she thought it was so important. And I was inspired by that. And I thought, if she can do that, and she gave up her first year of university and just stayed out in France to provide play for children with a torn knee. So I thought, if she can do that, then I can support her a bit. So that's why OPAL supports Project Play. We're going to match fund everything that you guys, if you donate today, OPAL will match fund every single pound that you donate with another pound. And the target for the year that we want to raise is £30,000, and then OPAL will double that. So that's why we're doing Project Play. But let's get on with the presentation now. I thought I'd start with a kind of definition of what is play? What is it that we're talking about? And the easiest way to do that is from the point of view of the child. And from the child's point of view, play is what I do when everybody else has stopped telling me what to do. Children now lead very busy lives. They go to school, they have after school clubs, they are taken around a lot of places. They have quite structured lives. And sometimes it's nice for them to be children, just to do what children need to do. And that is play. Play is at the absolute heart of childhood. As a former play worker, we have a more of a definition of play in play work. So we think of play as being a process that children do. And in order for it to be play, it should be freely chosen by the child. Soon as an adult steps in and starts giving them things to do, it starts to be tasks or it starts to be work. So play should be freely chosen by the child. And the direction it follows might develop this way, might be developed that way. That should be directed by children. And finally, the motivation to do it should come from children. We might be wanting them to be more active or smarter or more social with each other. But actually, the motivation for the play comes from the child, and they're so good at it and they're so interesting when you allow them the time to do that. So we need to think of play being something that isn't a set of activities provided by adults. We set up the possibility for play, and then children take over and lead it from there. And I wanted us to think about why is this important for children? Why is play so important for children? And I think the first thing is it is so joyful. I'm lucky enough to spend a lot of my time going around and standing in school playgrounds, seeing amazing play happen. And the atmosphere when great play happening is such a joyful thing. Laughing and giggling and being silly and friendships being made and creativity happening. And it's really important that we give children space for that in their lives, to do this activity, this process of play that brings them so much joy and happiness, because they're driving it and they're making the decisions and they're directing it and they're having fun and smiling and laughing. So we must not underestimate the importance of the joy and fun of play. It is also proven to be the most effective, most inclusive form of exercise that children can have. So they are likely to play for far longer than they do sport or formal physical activity. A much wider range of children are likely to get their activity from play. And if you ask children, and there's been lots of surveys asking them what is their favorite form of being active, they will tell us that it's play. So why not let them feed on that? Why not let them get out and use their bodies through this wonderful activity of play? And then there's growing research that play has an amazing effect on children's brain. So this research that I'm showing you here by Pellis and Pellis did experiments with control groups of rats. One group had a very playful environment, one didn't. And the brains of the rats that played were significantly different from the ones that didn't play. And they developed areas of the brain more. Their cognitive function, their ability to be intelligent, to be adaptive, to be resilient, was drastically improved by their play. And another speaker I saw at a national conference last year, Jacqueline Harding, was illustrated from scans of the brain that play lights up and connects more areas of the brain than anything else that children do. So evolution is clearly not stupid. Evolution develops things that are best for our survival. That is why the human childhood should have such a long period of playfulness in it, because play is so good for developing all aspects of children's development. And then, of course, play is the social laboratory where children work out their place in the world, their relationship in the world, how to be friendly, how to be unfriendly, how to cope, how to practice. And any laboratory would only be a good laboratory if things were allowed to go wrong. No scientist is a good scientist if all their tests are 100% right. And it's just the same with play. Children must be allowed to experiment in their play, to see what it's like to act out different personalities and different types, and be playful with their socialization. And that is why you'll get children maybe pretending to be angry, or sometimes feeling sad in their play, and figuring out, how do you do that? How do you feel sad? How do you feel better from being sad? And it's really important to let them have the time to work these things out through their play. Okay. So we spend a lot of time at OPAL thinking about, how do you create the conditions in which play grows? It's a bit like growing plants. You can't grow a plant by setting it a target or listing the things that it needs to do. You need to grow 5 centimeters and put on 5 leaves. You make the right conditions, and then plants grow. And play is very like that. You have to create the conditions in which play will flourish. So one of those conditions is time. Time when you're not on a screen, time when you're not being set tasks, time when you are free to do an activity that is just play. Spaces to play, where you are safe enough. It can be indoor spaces, it can be outdoor spaces, but spaces that are equipped with the resources of play. And then finally, we talk about permission, because adults can restrict children's play or even stop it by being anxious about things. They might be anxious about mess, about children not getting messy, not getting their clothes messy, not getting their hands dirty. That's really, really restrictive for children's play. Permission to muck about, permission not to be productive, permission not to be following a sport or a hobby, just to muck about and be a child. And finally, the permission to take risks, because all development, all learning requires us to venture into new ground, new unexplored territory. No ship can fulfill its function if it stays in the harbour where it's safe. Children need to be out exploring and pushing the boundaries of their body and pushing the boundaries of their experience. And there are elements of risk to that. And we want to give children enough risk to be challenged. Not too much risk, but enough to be able to push themselves. And lack of all of these things can have a drastic impact on children's ability to play. And why is it important that you, as parents and OPAL as an organisation, why are we thinking about this? Surely play just happens in childhood. I think it used to much more, but I think it doesn't nearly as much. And it's not our fault. It's not. I raised 3 children, but things have changed. The nature of childhood has changed, and children haven't changed. And 2 of the biggest changes have been cars. If you look at a medieval painting by somebody called Bruegel, and it was of a square in medieval times, it's full of children playing. If you look at movies from the 1940s and 50s, the streets are full of children playing, and cars have taken that away. They just have. Children no longer own public space. Cars own public space. So they've lost all that. And then more recently, the big influence has been screens, which it's a bit like the Dementors in Harry Potter. They suck all of children's playtime into them. Screens are not intrinsically good or intrinsically bad, but they take up an awful lot of children's time where they're not being interactive socially with other real people to their face. They're not using their bodies in a real way. And time when children might have been playing in the garden or playing in the house is now absorbed into the screen. And then other things have had an influence as well. So our worry about stranger danger, the increase in structured time, pressure of education, so general anxiety from the children and from us, loss of space and loss of tolerance of children being in public. All of these things have had an influence, and all that means is we now have to think about play as being something consciously that we're trying to provide for children. In my generation, adults didn't need to do that. I was just out the door. My parents didn't know where I was, what I was doing. I was getting my play, thank you very much, without anybody having to think about it. But I'm not sure that that is the case for most children nowadays. So what is it that we need to provide for them to make their play fantastic? It's really simple. Stuff to play with. Now, in play work, we call that stuff loose parts. It's a technical term. All it means really is stuff to play with. And the more open-ended, the less specific the stuff, the better. I remember really enjoying, when I was growing up, playing with a clothes horse and with blankets and cushions off the sofa. I was lucky my mum had a nursery school, so we had blocks and planks and stuff in the garden that we could play with. So you don't need to go out and buy expensive stuff. In fact, specific toys are fairly limited in their play value because they only do one thing. But this, I don't know what it is, duvet case maybe that this girl is playing with, could be 100 things, and the tires could be 100 things, and the netting could be used 100 different ways. So really, a lot of creating a play environment is giving them stuff to play with. And next time you're going to go to the tip, think, maybe I'll just put off going to the tip for 2 weeks and let the children play with the stuff. It might be cardboard boxes, which everyone seems to have tons of with Amazon. It might be a traffic cone that you found in the hedge. It might be your keyboard from your computer that you're going to throw out. It might be your own clothes that you were going to take to the charity shop. It might be a suitcase that's got a broken wheel or a broken handle. I get through one of those wheelie suitcases probably every year to 2 years. Bits of fabric left over, bits of pipe, insulating from pipe. Honestly, anything at all that is safe enough for children to play with. They will think of a million things to do with them. So that's the first thing, just man-made stuff to play with. And the other stuff that children love playing with are what we call natural loose parts. And that's sand, earth, water, mud, stones, sticks, and leaves. Yeah, they're messy. We might be bothered by the mess, but the textural experience for the children to touch real earth and real sand and real water is very, very important and very good for children. And how on earth are we going to raise children that actually are interested in saving the earth if they literally don't even touch earth? So I remember going on holiday, well, not going on holiday one year. We had to cancel our summer holiday one year, and I got the local builder to lift a 1-ton bag of sand over our hedge and drop it in the garden. And that was our beach for the year. And the children absolutely loved it. And we put the hose pipe up, and they were almost as happy as if we had gone on holiday. So a bag of potting compost and a bucket of water to a child can be so many things, especially if you combine it with a few old saucepans and a frying pan and a baking tray. Hours or days can be spent playing with these very, very simple ingredients, if you like. These are just like ingredients are to a cook, to children's play. And of course, the other essential ingredient is other people, playful people, people who want to play. Now, it might be siblings, if you've got siblings. It might be having friends around to play, if you're lucky enough to do that. Or it might be an adult that is playful, that agrees to put aside the formality of being an adult for a while and to enter into the child's world of playfulness. And it's good for us to do that. It's good for us to get down at a child's level and be playful. So when we're doing that, here are some useful phrases that you might think about for use in your play. What if? What if this box is a cash machine? What can we do? How can we make it into a cash machine? What if this box is a garage? What if this carpet tile turns us into frogs? What if helps us unleash our imaginations? And you will hear it in children's play all the time. Let's pretend. Let's pretend is a fantastic phrase. And if you are near children's play and you listen to children's play, it's a phrase that children use to negotiate a shared understanding of what the scenario is going to be really quickly. Let's pretend we're pirates. Boom, they're there. They're into being pirates. Let's pretend that this toy rabbit has magical powers. So children can very, very rapidly create a whole fantasy and imaginary world with the phrase let's pretend, and that they're very good at that. And then the other thing that we can think about is, what do you need? What do you need next in your play? Okay, so you've made a gymkhana and you've put some blocks on the floor and you're jumping over it in your with your horsey. Do you need a helmet? Can I find you a helmet? Go get a plastic bowl and tie it on with a tea towel to be a helmet. You're building a bigger den in the garden with bigger children, and the roof won't stay up. What do you need me to give you so that you can achieve the thing that you're trying to achieve in your play? Do you need me to get a rope so we can tie that onto there? Do you need a bigger tarpaulin that doesn't keep sliding off? What can I do to feed into your play so it can progress? And here's 5 tips for you on how to be a playful adult. Okay? Set up the play space. If you're stuck in a house and you don't have a garden, push the furniture to one side, maybe get the cushions out, put them on the floor. Create a space that says this space is for play. If you're lucky enough to have a garden, get some stuff out of the garage. Maybe get an old car tire. Maybe save up all your cardboard boxes. Get some blankets. Get some big sticks. Give over part of the garden just for free, playful digging. So set up a space that's going to be a playful space. Number 2, follow, don't lead. This is wonderful for adults because we might be sort of reluctant or nervous about, well, how do we lead play? You don't need to lead play. Sit down, listen to where the child's going, and follow their prompts, because pretty soon they'll be inventing things and they'll be asking you to join in, which leads us straight into the next one, which is wait for your invitation, because you will be invited into their play. If they've made a lovely birthday cake out of mud and sticks, you'll be invited to blow the candles out, or you'll be invited to test it. If they've made a den, you'll probably be invited into that den. So wait for the invitation, follow the lead of where the play is going, but also remember this is their play, and step out again when the flow of their play is going, because they don't need us all the time in their play. They like to have their own world. They like to have, sometimes they want adults in their play and other times they really won't. So be sensitive. If they're really engaged in their play, especially if they're with friends, you don't have to be involved. You can step back once the fire has been lit, if you like, that fire of play, that deep engagement that children get to in their play. So we don't have to be there all the time, but it's good to be watching and to feed that fire, to be feeding things into the play, almost without them even knowing. And I remember being at a parents' play day at a school, and there was a father and a child, and they were building a kind of an assault course across the grounds. And I was walking past and I was dropping tires and planks nearby. Neither of them spotted me, but the little boy was running off and going, oh, Dad, I just found this, I just found this, I just found a plank, can we add it in? And I was feeding the play because I was observant as to what they were doing and where the play was going and what they needed. So I was enabling the play without actually interfering in it. So those are some ideas about how, as an adult, you can be part of the play process without taking over the play process. So here's some ideas to get you started. Number 1, the most important one, the big pile of weird stuff. What do I mean by that? Literally anything that you can find that is playable. some pillows, a piece of wood, an old suitcase, a piece of foam insulation. Um, if you're in a house, then the piles are not going to be so big. If you've got a garden or an outside space or a driveway, see what you can find that is free and isn't going to be too dangerous for your child, like shatter or trap them or cut them. Is it safe enough? Just you can use a common sense test if you think it's be safe enough, and then let them off with it. And in play work, we have this theory where the theory of loose parts is if you give a child one thing to play with, one weird thing to play with, they will be really inventive and they might invent 100 things that you can do with that. Put it on your nose, put it down your shirt, pretend it's wings, balance it on your head, pretend it's a baby, run around it, jump on it, jump off it. If you give two children two weird things to play with, they will combine them together in many different ways. If you give them three, that's like the power of play cubed. So every extra thing we give them, they will find many, many, many different ways of using them and combining them. And that's why just the pile of weird stuff is so valuable in play and so undervalued. I think maybe because of the toy industry is never going to make any money if they realize that actually the big pile of weird stuff is all children ever needed to entertain themselves. That doesn't really make great sales. The combination of cardboard and chalk is fantastic because you get a box and you do a big red cross on it, and that's a hospital. You get a box and you draw 3 circles on top, and that's a cooker, and get some pots and pans out, and you've got a stove. You get a box and write a menu on it, and get another box and draw some plates on it, and you've got a cafe. You can build a hospital, you can build anything you want, you can build a car. So cardboard and chalk together are practically free, and you can make so many different things out of them. Don't Fall In is a great game. I think all children love to play Don't Fall In. I'm going to have a sip of my tea. Hang on. You'll know the game. Don't fall in the hot lava. Don't fall in the swamp. How do we get from here to there using some of the weird stuff? Get all the pillows in the house and see how far you can get jumping from pillow to pillow without falling in the hot lava. Get all the cushions off the outside chairs and create islands and jump from island to island, but don't fall in the swamp. Give children planks and tires outside so that they can create walkways to go between places. So all children of most ages love Don't Fall In. Dens, and more dens. Children love to build dens, both inside and outside. Inside, make a crack between the sofa and the wall, and give them some pillows and blankets and duvet covers and let them build a den. Outside, get some broom handles and tie them together with a couple of big elastic bands to make a tripod and make a teepee. Let them build materials. Don't build the den for them. Making dens is like Lego. If somebody builds your Lego model for you, not fun. You need to build your own den. But we as adults can help with the materials. And then finally, the Stranded Alien Adventure was something that I can't remember where I came across it. And I ran it in Youth Week up in a woodland near us, and parents told me that their children had ended up playing it for weeks over the summer holidays. So I had a little cork and I put it on the ground. I said, this is a little alien and his spaceship has just flown off and it's not coming back for a year. What are they going to need to live? And the children went, a house. They're going to need a house. I go, how do we make a house? So I got a stick. My phone is going off. I got a stick, and I chose a stick that had a kind of Y shape near the top, and I broke off the side branches, and I call it a Y stick, and I stuck it in the ground, and then I put another one about 6 inches, about 20 centimeters, near it like that, and I laid another stick between them, so I had like a bar supported, and then I leant sticks up and either side, and we built a tiny, tiny tent structure, and we put leaves on it, and that was a little house for the alien. And then I was asking the children, well, is the alien in a forest? Is it in a jungle? They go, oh, it's in a jungle. Are there wild animals in the jungle? Yeah, there's wild animals. How are we going to protect the alien? We've got to build a fence around the house. So we built a fence. And then the children were going, well, they're going to be bored now. Let's build them a swing. So they built a tiny swing and a table. And then they decided another alien comes. So they built another house down the road. It was amazing. So this idea in play of starting children off an adventure and then letting them run with it is something that we can do over and over again. But try out the Stranded Alien Adventure because children love it. Okay, so those are my ideas. I hope from that I've inspired you that play is really important, and we can't assume that our children are getting sufficient play. Our job at OPAL is to make sure that that's going to happen in every single primary school, and we're on a mission to do that. But children need to play at home as well. If you've signed up to this and we've got your email, we will send you a lovely little book that we've produced called The Power of Play. It'll have some of the ideas that I've talked about in, and it'll have some other ideas. If you've found any value at all in this, please, please, please use the QR code and go on and donate something to Project Play. If it's the price of a pint of beer or a coffee and a cake, that's absolutely fantastic. That they are bringing play to children who don't have the kind of opportunities that certainly my children have. They don't have a house, they don't have a park. Some of them barely have clothes, and they don't have security, and they don't have safety. And what Project Play does is just bring the joy and happiness of childhood for brief moments to these children. So please, please, please donate to them. I'm going to stop sharing now. I'm going to hand you over to one of our guests, who is Katie, who is one of the people that run Project Play. And I'm hoping that Sarah will take over from me.
Hello, I think that's me spotlighted. So yeah, thank you so much, Michael. That was a fascinating presentation, and thank you so much for the invite. It really, we are just incredibly grateful that you're for all of your support and for the opportunity to speak to you today. I'm also going to try to share my screen, fingers crossed. Okay, hopefully that's visible to everyone. So yeah, as Michael mentioned, I'm Katie and I work with Project Play. I'm one of the people who runs the organisation behind the scenes, and I was also on the ground with Project Play in 2022. I want to just talk to you briefly about the work that we do and the play that we are able to facilitate with children in situations of displacement in northern France. So since 2018, when we were started, and Michael was telling us a fantastic story of one of our co-founders who did persevere through some torn ligaments, I believe, to facilitate play. But since 2018, Project Play has been working on the UK-France border to create spaces for refugee children to play. The children that we work with are in this situation because despite fleeing war, conflict, and instability in their home countries, they are unable to access safe routes to claiming asylum, leaving them in situations of displacement and in an incredibly unstable, unsafe, and transitory position. Many of the children we work with live outside all year round. They live in tents and have no access to basic necessities, including food, water, or toilets. They also have no access to safe spaces to play, and many have been out of education for long periods of time. Some children that we work with have never accessed education because they were born into situations of displacement or because of instability in their home countries. The conditions that they're living in are deeply detrimental to their health, to their well-being, and to their development, and not to mention are a source of additional trauma and stress on top of that, which forced them to move in the first place and which, for many, has defined their journeys to get here. So at Project Play, our aim is super simple. We simply want to create space for these children to play, learn, and grow, spaces that they wouldn't otherwise have access to. We run a mobile play service working in both informal camps and independent community centres, where we set up a demarcated space with a very colourful gazebo so that children can join us and take a break from their situation. Our sessions start with circle time. We play games and sing very silly songs, often in gibberish to bridge language barriers, because the children we work with speak lots and lots of different languages. It's easier to talk in a made-up one so that we can all say the same thing. We also run main activities. These are designed to target key developmental outcomes. We want to give the children that we work with the opportunity to acquire the skills that they would otherwise learn in school. So whether this is improving gross and fine motor skills, developing a sense of self, and having opportunities to socialise with other children. Some children do request more formal educational resources, so a little bit different to the play that we also facilitate. This year, for example, we worked with a 13-year-old girl for 2 months, and every single day she requested a new topic for us to prep for the next day. From memory, we had activities on maths, on the ancient Egyptians, on chemistry, and at least 3 languages. She was very, very keen, but it was great fun for our team. And although our main sessions are a key part, our main activities are a key part of our sessions, our service very much pivots around free play, like Michael was talking about. We always pack a variety of loose parts, the phrase that Michael was talking about earlier, in terms of any object or toy or odds and sods that children can play with. This helps inspire creativity and enables the children to have agency over their own play, exploring their likes and dislikes and enabling them to construct whole worlds of imagination. This is particularly important as the children that we work with don't have any control over their environment or their situation day to day. So creating space for them to choose and to exercise agency is a vital opportunity which we always want to work to provide. It's really fantastic seeing the children engage with free play, having the space to do this, and we make sure that we have a real variety in activities to meet their different needs and what the different children are wanting to engage with. Some children really want to get involved in very collaborative, very loud, very messy free play, and others just want to go and sit in the corner and be calm and have an opportunity to relax and to switch off and to be with them, to be with themselves for a while. Play truly is transformative. I think we've seen that in Michael's presentation, and I'm sure all of us know that from the children that we have in our own lives. It's not a luxury, but it's a necessity. It's the work of childhood. And we see this in practice on every single session we run. I want to share a few highlights. So I've put a couple of photos on this screen and I want to talk you through them. So the first one on the left is from a session that really stuck with me when I was on the ground. These 2 girls were both incredibly shy when they joined our session at first. They spoke different languages. One is from Afghanistan, one is from Iran. They'd never met before. They didn't want to speak to any other children. They were just shy. They were intrigued, but they were very shy. However, they were both drawn to the play kitchen equipment, and before we knew it, they'd joined forces to set up a play cafe. And then they spent the rest of the session making tea and toast and serving it to us and to the other children on session, which everyone absolutely loved. It was just so gorgeous. And it really, for me, I loved the way that they couldn't communicate in any language other than play, but they still knew what the other one was trying to communicate. And it was just one of those moments that was so, so beautiful. The second photo on the top right is much more exciting than it first looks. I'm conscious that it actually looks really boring when you just show it with no context. But we recently had a donation which enabled us to buy lots of soft mats. And this has revolutionized the provision that we're able to set up for infants and for babies. So now we can create a closed soft play area, giving them the space to play even in the most challenging of outdoor spaces when it really isn't safe for them to be crawling around on the floor. Not only do the kids love it, but we've also had a lot of positive feedback from parents who are happy to leave their children in their space and very relieved that there's a space to leave their children, supervised by us, of course. And this is such an important part of our service too, is not only are we providing play for the children, but we're supporting the family unit more broadly by giving parents a break. We do invite all parents to join us, but living full time in a tent with your children in really challenging conditions can be absolutely exhausting. And a lot of parents use our sessions to take time for themselves, to relax, or to access the services that they need to themselves. And the final photo on the bottom right is one of our circle times. This is a resounding highlight for so many of us at Project Play. As I said briefly before, this is a time where we sing some really catchy, wonderfully silly songs in gibberish. Giving the children, we also make sure we give the children the opportunities to lead the circle. So we give them songs that they can sing, but we also want them to bring their own songs, maybe from their culture, from their home, and to take the play in whatever direction they want to. So often during our circles, we see children who want to come and join in but are a wee bit too shy. However, by the end of the circle or by the next session when we next see them, they are leading the songs and absolutely going for it. They just love it, and it's so wonderful to see that change and that increase in their confidence. We also sometimes see the children organising their own circles when we're just arriving at the living site to set up. So before we've got there with no adult interference, the children have gathered together and are playing our circle games and singing our songs. And I think that this is a true mark of success for us. Finally, one of the most important things that our sessions do is to give children space to process their emotions and what they're experiencing. We often see the children we work with acting out their experiences through play, so processing experiences of police violence or the traumatic journeys that they've had to make, or simply drawing pictures of the lives they're dreaming of living one day. All of the pictures on the screen here really remind me of the importance of these children having space to express what they're feeling and experiencing. And this is why we exist. This is the space that we try to create every single day. But we can't do this alone or without people like Michael and everyone at OPAL and everyone on this call today. So as Michael mentioned, OPAL are very generously supporting us through a match funding campaign at the moment, which gives us the opportunity to raise £60,000. Play is not expensive. Loose parts are not expensive at all. Our running costs are not high. And £60,000, if we are to hit this target, would run our service for all of next year, which is quite incredible. Every child deserves a space to play. We fundamentally believe in this. No child should have to endure what the children we work with endure every day. Our service provides some small respite within what is a really horrendous situation for these children, creating vital space for them simply just to be children in a world where that alone is very challenging. So if you'd like to support our work, you can do so by scanning this QR code. And thank you so much to everyone who has donated so far. We really do appreciate it. Every donation, whether it's £2, £50, whatever it is, makes a huge, huge difference. And we're just so grateful for any support. So thank you. Thank you so much for your time. I'm going to stop my share and hand back to Michael.
Fantastic. And Sarah's going to spotlight me. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Katie. I just find what you're doing so incredibly moving. And yeah, do urge anybody watching to contribute what they can to your fantastic work. So that's it, folks. We're wrapping up a little bit early because I think I've spoken everything I need to tell you. Sums up my 30-year career in play. I hope you found it inspiring. Play is such an undervalued thing in our society and in our school system. As I say, we're trying to fix that in schools. We're trying to make sure that every child in the school that we work with has an amazing playtime every single day with no exceptions. And we've managed to do that for about 1.4 million children in about 1,600 primary schools so far. But don't worry if we haven't got to the school your children are at yet. We're not giving up until we've done everybody. But you can do your bit by taking some time out for play and being playful and getting the pile of weird stuff out, sitting on the floor and having fun, being playful. So thank you very much, everybody. We're hoping that people are going to watch this on the recording as well, and I hope you enjoyed the session. So bye-bye.